Main topic is the thing. Our top Euro tuner cars. Because we just talked about the Guntherwerks.
Can that be one of them?
Lead us in. Sure can.
Third.
That's Guntherwerks counts. That is a Euro. I mean, I don't think it. I think it's the tuning of European cars.
Okay.
The tuner doesn't have to be located in Europe specifically.
So that was my question because I had RWB on there, and I'm like, oh, he's Japanese. Does that count as a Euro tuner?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Off the Record. They've been a longtime sponsor, but we need you guys to know that they have a brand new code. So whether you're starting with Off the Record from scratch or just updating the Off the Record app that you've already downloaded, make sure you get that new code. That's TST Pod, code TSTPOD on the Off the Record app. The URL is still the same, offtherecord.com/TST. And if you're here for the first time and you're going, Matt, what is Off the Record? Well, I'll just tell you, it's a service that helps you fight tickets. You don't want to plead guilty to a ticket ever. It doesn't matter if you did it or not. It doesn't matter how BS it feels. It doesn't matter how bad you want to just get on with your life. Getting on with your life is easy with Off the Record. All you do is make an account at offtherecord.com/TST, download the Off the Record app, use code TST Pod, snap a photo or a scan of that ticket, and Off the Record will assign a qualified attorney in that jurisdiction to fight that ticket on your behalf. You don't have to do anything else. They have a great success rate. And if OTR doesn't get those points off your record, you don't pay. It is a fantastic system they've got going on over there. I've used it personally. It has helped me immensely keep my driver's license and my insurance rates where they need to be. Offtherecord.com/TST or code TST10 on the Off the Record app. All right, on today's show, we got Jonny Lieberman in the room, and we gave him some homework because the main topic of the day is Euro tuners, our favorite Euro tuners. Me, Johnny, and Zach will duke it out to discuss our 5 favorite Euro tuner cars from any time period. The floor is open, and that's what we're doing today on the Smoking Tire Podcast.
But here, this is that thing.
Oh, yeah, let me see this thing.
So it's $48 with that strap, or 4 for $158.
I mean, 4 watches for $150.
And they're kind of nice. Like it's like a
so they
nice...
don't work for me because lefty. They got to make it the dial the other way.
Okay.
Because the angled.
Wear it upside down. You already can't read it because it's angled.
You know, if it's the driving watch, like I get that they do this, but you can't wear it on your right wrist. Now, this being quartz and having no date, they could just fucking do that.
I'm sure
they could just tilt the dial 90 degrees.
I could send a text to Jay and be like, you should do a batch of lefties.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he would do it.
Yeah, but like this strap alone is probably a $40 strap.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you got 4 NATOs of like black hardware, like you know,
not shitty.
For 4 NATOs for $158, I think I've spent that.
Yeah.
You know? So
it's cool.
It's pretty cool. But the reason I brought this, so I brought your watch, but 100 years ago when I was just getting into watches, I went to like a thrift store.
Yeah.
And I just bought like things I thought looked cool. And like,
whoa, what are those?
They're nothing. I don't know. They're just some weird quartz thing.
They're kind of funky though.
They're cool.
Yeah, they're kind of funky.
But not obviously the mint one, but the one-off that you didn't put into production.
Yeah.
Was sort of the same color, colorway.
As this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was
I don't know what the fuck these are, but they're kind of neat. I use this roll thing that guy sent me. What's it called? It's called...
It's with a P. No, C.
No.
Kruk.
Yeah. Kruk. Kruk, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who makes this watch? This is a weird little watch.
That is from a Russian thrift shop.
For sure.
I've
Made
no
in
idea.
China?
Yeah, I mean...
Battery, something.
It is Rolex, but the O is actually a 0.
Japan movement.
Hey.
All right.
You know? But
neat.
I thought it was, I don't know. I thought they're...
It's kind of fun.
It was just, I forgot I owned them, and I was...
I'd like that dial. That would be a fun thing to do with a
Right?
dial. Yeah, it's got like a holographic sort of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Color of like a Mistachrome.
Yeah.
Mistachrome. If we could get
Hold it up in
actual...
front of 5.
If we could get actual... Here, give it to me. If we could get actual Mistachrome paint.
There you go. Oh, yeah. There you go.
Kind of funky. And then this one's got the sort of of the pinkish version of the same thing.
Orange.
Pink, orange, whatever. No, in certain
I like
lights
the
this
lean
looks
in.
pink.
You're
That
very
looks-
colorblind, right?
Yeah, but like if you move it around, it looks.
Oh, if you
if
there's
you
pink
move it
and
around,
orange.
there's
Okay.
definitely
Actually,
pink in it.
the top half is a different color than the bottom half.
Yeah.
That might just
That
be
is-
patina. That might be a tropical Chinese.
I wonder
Okay,
what it would
they
cost
are
to
diff-
get
this is
dials
different colors.
painted in actual Ford Mistachrome paint. That could be kind of cool, actually.
Anyway, I
those are
thought
neat.
It was funny.
Yeah.
I was looking for a watch the other day, and I was like, oh, I should show these to Matt.
Yeah,
because it's sort of similar to what you.
Yeah,
wound up
they're
going
weird.
with.
I like them. Cool.
And this thing.
Notice
dude.
Canyon.
Dude.
Mint. It's a great piece, isn't it?
So I don't know if I told you this story or not, but I got the text message from you like, hey, you can buy my watch, and I'm like, yeah, if we don't support each other, friends, da, 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 da. And I'm like, I'll take a picture of it, put it on Instagram, put it in the safe. In like 5 years, some weird Farrah freak will be like, you have one in a box with papers? And I put the fucking thing on, and I'm like, God damn it.
Thing is great.
Dude, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's such a nice watch.
First of all, 68-hour power reserve,
The best, right?
the greatest.
You can let it sit for 2.5 days and it's still going.
It's great.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
When you have different watches, that's how it works.
Yeah, it is
Pick
exactly
it back
how
up
it works.
a couple days and
But I the amount of time I waste on the Hodinkee app setting fucking watches is like I could have another career.
Oh, is that like nuclear time that you set your watch
Oh,
against?
you haven't seen it?
No.
Oh, dude.
I don't care that much. If it's on the right minute somewhere,
Oh
I'm
no,
okay.
you hack. Hacking.
Hacking seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just fantastic. So yeah, so
I'm really glad you enjoy it.
Yeah,
I've a lot of people that really know watches have put it on, bought it, supported us, and then gotten the watch and go, holy shit, I got this because we were friends, but then like, fuck me, this is great.
Dude, it's
Marco loves his.
Yeah.
Like my buddy
Oh,
Pete got
Marco
one. He
and I
loved-
send pictures back and forth.
Yeah, these people. My friend Ryan, who wears like APs and Ulysse Nardin freaks. Shout out to Ryan. He's like, dude, what the fuck? This is rad.
So my go-to line, because everyone's asking me, what do you think? What do you think? I'm like, I think I bought a $2,500 watch for $1,200 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I really thought I was like overpaying and like, Matt's a buddy type thing. And it's like,
No, it really is.
it's really good. And
Yeah.
it's like thin. And
When I told the Notice guys we're gonna sell a watch for $1,200, and they're like, "We've never sold a watch over $1,000.
Right.
How are we gonna do that?" I go, "Because it's gonna be a $3,000 watch that we're selling for $1,200.
Okay,
that's
yeah,
why.
yeah. And
it will be great.
And the bracelet rules,
Yeah.
the micro adjustment, which is like my IWC has that.
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean, it's like it's a
it's
good
got
real
shit
watch.
thank you. I'm so
Yeah.
glad you like it. It's
Love
got,
it, love it.
There are a couple oranges left.
Oh, yeah?
There's like less than 10 oranges left. The mint was
That's
very
tempting.
very popular, but we made twice as many of the
Sure,
oranges. We
sure.
did 200. There's a couple still lingering on the shelf.
Okay.
If you want one, I make a good price for you, my
Yeah.
friend.
Okay. We talk. We
If
do
you
watch.
already own a mint and you want an orange, you can hit me up and I'll fucking knock a little off the back for you.
Okay.
If you for double support.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I mean, I just really like the fucking watch. It's like
Yeah.
It's
Me too. I wear mine all the time.
I had a Daytona, and then I switched to a chrono just because like I always like to time cars at races. But I was like, I don't want to take it off and put on the other watch.
Nice.
So, not to blow
Did
smoke.
you go to?
but
Oh, you went to Daytona.
I went to Daytona.
Did you
yeah.
enjoy Daytona?
I mean, I enjoyed 23 hours and 50 some odd minutes of it, and then it was like. That was weird. And I was sitting in a room. I'll leave their names out of it, but like these are household name racer type people that are not named Penske, and they were like, "That's weird," because the Cadillac was charging.
Yeah.
So like with 3 laps to go, it was like 0.9 seconds behind the Porsche, 0.8, 0.4. 2 laps to go, which is totally, that's a scenario that could happen. And then the white flag came out, and everybody's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's really weird.
Wait,
So
I completely missed the news on this. What happened?
they threw the flag
They
a lap
threw the
early.
flag a lap early.
Like a minute and a half early. Wow. And IMSA put out, it was one of those things where like certain people that like Porsche, let's say, were like, hey, you guys are being conspiracy theorists. Like, that's not what happened. Da, 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 da. You don't know racing. And then IMSA put out a statement, oops, human error. But if you go through our guidelines, like, human error is allowed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Congratulations, Penske and Porsche.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Of course, the winners
Not a
aren't-
conspiracy necessarily, but definitely weird.
Jethro said the best thing, and he said it like an hour. I was texting him like an hour after the race, and he's like, it sucks that motorsports are so open to conspiracy theories. Like, just everyone has a conspiracy at all times because the cars are so fucking cool. Like,
Yeah.
just can't we just go and enjoy the cars? Like, who cares about like again, 23 hours, 58 minutes. It's still a good race.
Yeah, but I mean, yes, that is a true thought, Jethro. And I love Jethro, and he's right about very many things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, teams pull shady shit in racing all the fucking time. Yeah. And race officials do stupid or possibly shady shit in racing all the fucking time.
I mean, this would have to be somebody was like, throw the flag now so Penske and Porsche wins, which is like...
I don't
think that happened. I'm not saying that happened here, but as a general thought of this kind of shit does happen.
We live in a country where, if you go up to the average person, they're like, we didn't go to the moon. They're like, it was Kubrick, so...
Right, the fact that there's a Swiftie conspiracy right now makes it's
right.
totally believable that someone would go, yeah, I bet they threw the flag early.
It's weird that this type of thing, throwing a white flag at a particular time, is even open to human error with all the technology that goes into a
AI
race.
would solve this. No.
That was a fucking digital clock would solve this.
Well, if they delay the race, then you have to set the clock or something like that.
That's tough.
I would say this, back to hacking, right? If there's a guy staring at his Daytona...
Hodinkee Watch Center. Yeah.
If there's a guy staring his Daytona and it's like... they're running like a minute, 36 second laps, and he's like 4 seconds off in one direction.
Sure.
He might say, throw the flag.
Yeah.
On an earpiece, or the guy misheard, or jumped the gun. But again, it was I forget who they were, the two British guys announcing the race. They're like, 2 more laps to go. Oh, the white flag's out. Okay. And it was very strange.
Yeah.
Isn't this what, I guess, to go back to what you said, Matt, like transponders exist. They've existed for a long time. So shouldn't the lead car trip something and they see a computer and it's counting the laps and someone just relays that message?
It doesn't matter. At Daytona, you just run in a circle for 24 hours.
The race is a period of time, not a number of laps.
Yeah, because the winning car this year actually ran less laps than the winning car last year. They had more yellows and blah, blah. So it doesn't, but you would think there could be a clock, on the transponder that's like, it's been 24 hours, get the flag out.
Yeah.
But no, they have timing and scoring, and somebody said, throw the white flag.
Yeah.
And there's a human that unfurls it, and that's it. And then they won't ever admit it, but I bet Cadillac said to the guy, like, all right, white flag's out, like, second's fine, save the car, we're going to Sebring in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, because a lot of people, before IMSA put out the statement, when they were like, you're being weird, the last lap, the Cadillac was 2 seconds behind the Porsche, but before the white flag came out, it was 0.4 seconds.
Yeah, so they were on it.
Or they got caught up in traffic, or something happened.
Yeah.
But it was just an odd end to an otherwise wonderful. I love Daytona. I love 24-hour races. It was great.
It's it cold and raining? I didn't.
No, it was like hot and nice. And it was like
that's a good one. Usually
I was with Spinelli.
That's a bad time to be at Daytona.
Yeah, I was there I think 2 years ago, and it was like freezing. It was like in the high 30s. But no, it was like 80 in the day.
Being in a 24-hour race with Spinelli is particularly good because when he gets loopy, shit gets fun.
Oh, yeah.
Spinelli on no sleep is wonderful.
So we came up with this new character, Dr. Motorsport. Okay. And it's just like, Dr. Motorsport, why did they throw the flag a lap early? It's like, oh, well, you see, if you go back to the 1937 race, what was the motto? It was seldom wrong. And it was just...
That would be a good T-shirt.
It was great.
Dr. Motorsport, seldom wrong. I like that. Good sticker, good T-shirt.
It was a lot of fun, but we did it right. We left the track at 10:20. We were in bed by 11. We got back to the track. We left the hotel at like 5 a.m. Got back at like 5:20 and saw the sun come up. So we weren't the normal like, I'm going to stay up all night. Oh no, it's 1. I'm going home. Oh
yeah. The problem with these I'm staying up all night is it really starts to suck quickly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Once you do a lap around, you're like, okay, there's some very drunk people here, and then that's kind of it.
I'm at the point now where it's like the sun goes down and then leave because nothing happens. Really, I mean, something will happen, but it looks the same.
Yeah.
So we left at 10:20. We could have left at like 8, and it would have been the same. And got to sleep an hour early, but it was super fun. It was super fun.
I'm glad it was fun.
Yeah,
that's good.
I enjoyed
it. You
it.
rolled up in a fucking pink Rolls-Royce Spectre. It's really,
of course,
it's the right color for me. I will attempt to book this exact color once you're done with it.
Yeah. I'll just Monday come get it. Yeah, no, it's Look, if you've ever driven a Rolls-Royce, and let's be honest, who hasn't? It's exactly like a Rolls-Royce.
See, that's what is so funny, and I was saying this to my guys downstairs as I was coming up. Like, as much as it makes sense for cars like this to be electric, they're already super heavy, it's already a torque thing, it's already a smoothness thing. Electric benefits Rolls-Royce less than it benefits Hyundai.
Sure.
To go from a 4-cylinder to an electric powertrain is such a massive jump in refinement.
Right.
Whereas to go from a Rolls-Royce V12 to an electric powertrain is like kind of the same.
Don't notice the thing. Who does notice, we talked about this, is BMW's compliance people. They're like, this really helps Rolls out with the cafe
Sure, because they were getting like, 16 miles a gallon or whatever it was.
A lot less than that.
Is
yeah.
Do you know what did the last what's
Phantom
the Wraith or the Phantom get? My Bentley Turbo R gets 14 highway.
Yeah, I mean the Phantom's got to be right there.
2024 Phantom gets 20 miles per gallon highway, 12 city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's mostly city,
where they spend most of their time.
Yeah.
I mean,
but talk about a great road trip car.
Yeah.
Phantom. Ooh,
no, the greatest. When my best friend got married,
the greatest.
His bachelor party, we went to Vegas in the Phantom. We never had more fun. So it had physical curtains on the side windows, and so like anytime there was like a car full of girls that were looking in, my buddy would like deploy the curtain.
Yeah,
we called it curtaining, and then it had the pop up and down hood ornament.
Yep.
And it used to be a physical button on the last gen in the glove box, and so again, car full of girls would pull up, and my buddy would just raise it.
Boner. Yeah,
and it was a good time.
I rolled a Phantom to Vegas as well, and it was for that Top Gear promotion back in the day. And the Phantom was wrapped taxi cab yellow.
Oh, weird.
Which is aggressive.
Yeah.
And at the time, let's just say allegedly, I smoked a lot of blunts, and that was one of the best drives of my life.
This is this is a true story. So we're there, and we're Vegas bachelor party weekend. And a lot of the guys that came with, they're not really Vegas people, right? But we wanted to do a little gambling, and then they lost all their money, and they noticed it's like $6 ATM charge.
Oh yeah.
So they're like, "Hey, could you take us to a B of A?" And so we're rolling in a Phantom.
To a Vegas ATM.
To a Bank of America to save $18.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're going through $30 in fuel. Perfect. And they're like, we can't pay those fees.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right.
I'm going to a bachelor party in Vegas in April, and I'm going to take my Bentley, and I'm actually even more excited about it.
I can smoke cigars in it.
I cannot wait. Yeah. I'm getting cigars specifically for that.
I did a story years ago. There was a Phantom drophead coupe, the second greatest Rolls-Royce. The greatest is the Phantom coupe.
The coupe.
Coupe.
Did I tell you that?
No.
That I just there's the new issue of Road and Track, the theme, because everyone is the greatest.
Oh.
And I wrote about the five best cars I've ever driven.
Yeah.
And I wrote 150 words on each. And Pund, who's now our editor-in-chief, shout out to
I
him.
hung out with Pund at Daytona.
He came back to me and he goes, "Can you do 1,500 on the Phantom coupe?" He's like, and I'm like, "Why that one?" He's like, "Because you're supercar guy, and this is," and I was like, "Okay." So that one of the best cars I've ever driven, the Rolls Phantom coupe.
It's hard to explain how good it is, but it's so good.
It is within 6 inches of the length of a Suburban, and it has two doors. I mean, it's wasteful and opulent, and they don't make them like that anymore. No. They never will again, and it's just the most silly thing.
It's the best. But actually, I'd love to do Bentley Brooklyns versus Phantom coupe.
Yeah, that would be good.
Brooklyns is like
someone did that probably in 2010. I'm sure you could
remember
find
Rolls is a pain in the ass. They don't like comparisons.
Yeah.
In this country, in other countries, Bentley doesn't. Anyways, so there was a drophead Phantom coupe that had they said it was a humidor. It wasn't a humidor. It had a cigar holder in the glove box. It would hold 3 cigars. So I went to Casa Fuente in Caesar's Palace, and you can get these orange label Casa Fuentes. The only place on earth you can buy them is in Casa Fuente. And I went up and down this strip all night with Schaefer, the photographer, just smoking cigars in my Rolls-Royce, rolling Vegas. It was the greatest.
Were they cool with it?
It had a cigar holder in it, and he had the top down.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They were.
I imagine if I returned a Rolls-Royce press car, thinking like a cigar lounge, they might get mad. But
again, this one was
convertible.
It had the cigar holder, and I think they wanted
guys, you put the smoker's package in there.
But I think they wanted to show off to potential customers that like we can do anything, and like, dude. Like, imagine dropping your glove box and there's 3 cigars.
Do they
ready
pop
to go.
out like a little? Was it like lit glove box down and then the whole thing?
No. It was like on the door.
Oh, and it's like
it was
flip up.
No, it just sat there, but it was made of cedar. It was wooden. It was literally you wouldn't want anything else. It was perfect.
Remember, you ever see FDR's presidential car at the Peterson?
I have seen it, but I don't.
It had a machine that dispensed lit cigarettes.
Nice.
That's a lit cigarette.
Rolls-Royce. You're slacking.
That's so G. The best one of all time is Dick Trickle's NASCAR with the cigarette lighter and holder in it, which is amazing.
Oh, Dick Trickle's also the best thing of all time.
Dude, ripping heaters during yellow cautions. It's the most amazing YouTube video ever.
I just love.
Here's Dick Trickle having a little smoke during this caution period.
Hey man, sport used to be a lot more fun.
Sitting in a tub of methanol.
But is there anything about the pink Spectre that is revolutionary, or does it what you expect from a
nothing?
Okay.
It is if you own a Rolls-Royce, nothing's different. The only thing that like, and I know you feel different about this than I do, but it has an on-off button, which is an unnecessary step. It should just be ready to go. Like a Tesla or Rivian, just get in and go. It's stupid to have to like turn it on and then go.
I like the one button push.
No,
I do like it.
I just like go. Like, what's the point? Oh,
I think there's exceptions to because you could get in a car and want it on without going.
It does that. It's just on. It's just on. If you open it, you get in a Rivian, it's just ready to go.
I don't always want it on, though. I want to tell it to turn it on, and I want to tell it to turn off separately from going or stopping.
The one difference is if you push the brake pedal, and I'm not, maybe there's others do this, but when you push the brake pedal, the door closes.
Well, that's very Rolls.
Yeah.
I think
they got rid of there's no button.
There's no button anymore.
This one.
It's just
like the others still have the button, obviously, but this one you hit the brake pedal and.
How does the pass? Oh, it closes both doors.
I haven't tested it. I imagine it does, but and I'm sure because it's iDrive. I'm sure there's a close all doors on the screen somewhere. I got the thing at 10:06 this morning, but. It's a Rolls. It makes all the sense in the world. I drove back in, a decade ago, 2014. I drove the electric Phantom prototype, the 101X, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And that thing it went 150 miles on charge, so it wasn't going to work. But I remember driving it. I'm like, it's quieter. It doesn't smell at all.
Yeah.
It's torquier, and because there's no drive shaft, the rear floor is flat, so you have more room in the back. Perfect.
Yeah.
And what Rolls said was they brought it all to all the owners, and the owners just hated it. We hate electric. We'll never drive electric. Even though mega wealthy people that drive a mile a day are literally the best demo possible.
Yeah. It made so much objective sense then.
Yeah. And so battery technology wasn't mature. This is... they're claiming it's not shared with like the 7 Series and the 5 Series. They're claiming it's the architecture of luxury, which is the most fart-smelling.
That sounds like bullshit.
Yeah, but anyways, but it all works. Like you would not know you weren't in a Rolls-Royce. It's a Rolls-Royce.
And what is the sticker on this particular vehicle?
I'll see if Mike sent me the Monroney because he dropped it off. He's like, "Did I send you the Monroney?" And I'm like, "No."
Does it start with a 4 or a 5?
It probably starts with like a 350,000 base, but this one is it's got some white leather. Yeah, he hasn't sent it yet. But,
all right.
But it's like all Rolls Royces, not cheap.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. I mean,
I'm gonna. I now that I know there's a pink one, I'm gonna have to call them and get that.
Yeah, there's a couple.
But we'll figure it out. All right, folks, got to take one quick break because today's podcast is sponsored by Groove Life. Belts, wallets, EDC items, everyday carry, and more, but it's really the belt, man. It's the Groove belt. They've got that proprietary webbing engineered with just the right amount of stretch, and Groove Life has designed the coolest buckle. It snaps using rare earth magnets set in an aluminum alloy. No more holes. Magnets, rare earth magnets. Trust me, your waist will thank you. It's easy to adjust, right? And the buckle includes this stuff they call stiff tech. That's a fancy way of saying there's no annoying belt flaps that need to be tucked in. Groove Life is here for life. A 94-year no BS warranty, and the Groove belt is the last belt you'll ever need. It will probably outlive you unless you I don't know, have a blood boy, or you're listening to this as like a 3-year-old and you live to 100. And even then, they'll take care of you. They've grown from a side project to a company that now provides for over 100 families and been recognized by Inc. magazine as one of the fastest growing companies in the USA. They make way more than just belts. It's wallets, rings, watch bands, AirPod cases, and a whole lot more. Throw your old belt away. You don't need it. Upgrade your belt game to Groove Life. Head over to groovelife.com/tire20. That's tire20 for 20% off all Groove Life products. That's the best offer you'll find, but you got to use my link in the show notes or go to groovelife.com/tire20 for 20% off your order. One last time, groovelife.com/tire20 for 20% off of your order. Thanks to Groove Life for sponsoring today's show. And now let's get back to it. That's pretty cool. The couple other things before we get to our main topic of the day. Did you see the story that there's a company that was draining the fuel out of cars in salvage yards and then selling it to gas stations in California?
Jesus.
Yeah, it was called Lamb Fuels, LAMB.
Oh, wow.
And they had a scam going where they would go to wrecking yards and drain the gas tanks from these fucking cars and then just go up the road and sell that garbage to a Shell station for like a year and a half.
I mean, there
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
They've changed owners, but where I used to live in Eagle Rock, there was a 76 station where almost every year they would get busted. Because there are, state employees that check gasoline.
Mm-hmm.
They literally come and check your gasoline, and they get busted for watering down their gas every year. And they were just, if you met these guys instantly, you'd be like, oh, duh. Of course they're doing that, meanest people in the world. But yeah, I mean, doesn't shock me. It's horrible and
and bad gas will fuck your car up.
Sure, sure.
You could break down. You could have proper mechanical issues.
There's that. Usually, remember, you're mixing old gas with new gas most of the time. But it's also you are paying. Shell for Shell quality gasoline and that much octane.
Yeah.
And if you're getting less, modern computers can adapt to it and, they can run horrible gas, Denver gas. But it's just criminal.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's
how do they get it out of the salvage yard in significant quantities?
The salvage yard.
They must have been in on it, right?
Of course they're in on it.
That's kind of like
they're
the
letting them roll
shit.
in with a
big truck.
with a small
truck.
tanker truck, a water truck size, and fucking suck it all out. Probably get get 1,000 gallons of fucking clip.
And gas has a 6-month shelf life before it starts to really go bad.
Yeah, so if you're pulling it out of old cars, who knows how long this thing's been sitting
plus
there.
you're leaching all kinds of horrible metals that are going to go through your engine.
Yeah.
Sucks.
So that's awesome. And I have a new obsession.
Okay.
I don't know about obsession, but the GeoGuessr. Have you fucked with the GeoGuessr yet?
What's the GeoGuessr?
GeoGuessr is a program. It's a web-based game.
Okay.
That starts with an image on Google Street View, and you have to guess where in the world that image is taken.
No. There's some people that are extremely good at it, which is weird.
Alanis King, our friend Alanis, came over on Saturday, and her husband is very good at it.
Oh my God.
And so they showed it to me. So GeoGuessr costs money, but Geotastic is the free version. So you do have to make an account to play it, and I have an account, but and maybe we don't have to set up the account right now, but maybe we could play one on the show next week, next cruise show. But I've been playing this for a bunch of hours now. I'm actually kind of decent at it. There are strategies that Alanis' husband sort of taught me things to look for, and things that you'd expect, right? Like street signs or license plates, the direction of the sun, the markings on the road, and some of them are pretty easy to figure out, as you might expect. And other ones are fucking impossible. Like they gave me one yesterday where I was just like on a dirt road, trees 50 feet high, like either side, nothing in any direction, like couldn't figure it out. But like I bet there's a lot of people out there doing this. It is pretty fun.
I gotta try, because there was the parking spot shuttle bus has this horrible video about how they sanitize buses during COVID, but they also just play bad music and flash images of like Tuscan countryside.
Yeah.
And so with my kid, I'm always like, where's that? You know? So I do like that.
This and you can do it like America only or worldwide or whatever.
But they don't do like your house.
According to them, they said that they've done ones where they were dropped inside of an apartment building.
Oh, Jesus.
But like most of them look, sort of like this.
Okay.
Like we're on a street in a somewhat rural area.
Oxnard. No, I don't know. Yeah, okay.
But like if you see this one, and this is what it looks like, and then you have to go in the menu and find where in the map you are, and like based on how far you are from the actual pin, like that's how you score. But dude, I did one last night. I got 3 kilometers from where the fucking photo was taken, and it was taken like on the side of a lake in Alaska. Like,
cool, wow.
It was I was very gratified.
This you can tell Southern California or Central because of the oak trees and the
right.
The
so
yellow line.
The foliage,
yeah.
the style of the street signs, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So that's my new.
Geotastic?
Geotastic is the free one.
What's the expensive one?
GeoGuessr.
GeoGuessr.
Yeah, I don't know about expensive, but it costs money.
Okay. Yeah.
So that we'll do one next show. I don't want to.
Well, next if I come back,
if you come back,
yeah.
we'll have a lot of free time. So you drove GT3 RS on the street?
A lot.
I lived. How many miles did you do? Like 400?
More.
Yeah.
I probably did like 6 or 7. They're probably gonna. They won't say anything, but they're probably like, goddamn. But it showed up with like 1,400 miles. So
yeah.
It's just broken in.
I have that car. I don't know if it's the same one, but I saw your picture. Immediately called Porsche.
They love
and
that.
I was like, I need that car now.
Do you want to hear the best thing? So when I had the ST, my buddy Jeff has a 911R and a Touring, and I took it to his hangar and we shot photos. A guy at Porsche, will leave his name out, you know who he is, said a lot of people called, like, we have the ST and the R and the Touring. And a lot of our colleagues called him.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
And I was like, name names. He's like, I can't, but more than 2 called.
That's pretty funny. Of course. Yeah.
But yes, this car is wonderful. This car is, my first time driving it, and it's the current Porsche for me.
Oh, you didn't go on the track launch?
I did not.
So we went on the track launch.
And it rained.
No, I was not there in the rain.
Oh, you went to the one
I went to the one at Thermal.
Yeah.
Not the one in Europe.
Yeah.
And it was amazing on the track, as one might expect. Jorg and fucking Pat Long were there, and we had a grand old time. It was very fun.
Sounds good.
But they wouldn't let us drive it on the street.
Okay.
And I assumed that was because it would not be particularly pleasant on the street.
No, I mean, if you've driven a GT3, it feels the same pretty much as a GT3. Interestingly, and I haven't really confirmed this, but the springs are softer than a GT3. So if you put it in track mode and dial everything to -4 compression and rebound, then you're just on the springs. You're not longer on dampers. So what does that mean? Well, it means it rides a little better than a GT3. However, if you have the dampers turned off and you hit a big something, it sucks. So don't do that. But no, I thought it was great. My buddy Tosin, Tosin has a GT3, and we were driving around, and he's like, yeah, it actually rides a little better. And he was just like, doesn't have a manual. And I'm like, doesn't need a manual. And I like this car. Like, I had the ST before this, and the ST is absolutely wonderful. There's nothing wrong with it. However, it's a little bit like the dudes that are into Leicas, where you're like, a Sony A7 would actually take a better photo, and they're like, no, I only shoot Leica because whatever. And like the ST's like, okay, I have to turn the steering wheel more to get the same amount of turn I get in a regular GT3. But that's better because... And so
I feel like that's when you bring over a bourbon that tastes like lighter fluid.
Well, that's...
fair. Yeah. Totally fair.
I mean, I have a because.
Yeah.
I have a because for that. That's a rational one.
Yeah.
Because to actually go on a road trip or use the car in a regular everyday setting, it's much more relaxed and not frantic.
Fair. I would just say...
That's my because for that.
This is about going... as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I've rarely connected with a, press car the way I connected with this one. Everything about it was fascinating. I love driving on the street. It's funny, Seinfeld, of all people, he's been going on and on about how it's the best street car. And I was like, he's crazy. And then I was like, actually, he's got a point. This thing is really good. Because you imagine, like, because you can tune compression and rebound, if you're like, wow, it's doing this a little bit, click, click, and like, now I'm smooth.
Yeah.
And then the only thing you got to do is go into the menu and like turn off track transmission shifting. So you can turn it off and it goes to like normal shifting. But it's just, I love it. It's so wonderful. And like being able, it's got like a regular GT3, traction and stability are separate, but they're controllable. So, you do stability all the way off, but then have a few bumps on traction. So when you mat it out of a corner, it hooks up better, because the traction control is making sure that it, goes in a straight line better. So it was just super fun to play with. And then the diff, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Where you can like change like the coast and the on throttle diff locking. And, if you're on a windier road, you make it so that when you go to the brakes, the rear gets more upset, so it'll turn in better. Phenomenal. I wrote Andy P a note. I'm like, if you do a GT2 RS, make it exactly the same, just add 300 horsepower, because that's all it needs is more power.
I look forward to having a go on the street.
I
think it's the first week or in March that I have it.
Yeah, it's like I just loved it. I just loved it. And again, there's nothing wrong with the ST. It's just like it's a thing. Whereas this is just like, yep, we're going faster now. And
do you tend to like cars that are turned up to 10?
Yeah, like the Guntherwerks Turbo is my favorite car of all time. Like that's it. That's what I want.
Yeah, I would sell everything for one of those.
I wish I had enough to sell. If I sold my house, I'd be in the ballpark.
Yeah, that's delightful.
That's the car.
Yeah, that's the game over car.
So, but this has similar steering, I would say. Still not as good as that. The Gunther, I mean, it's still hydraulic on the Gunther, plus the width of the front end.
295 fronts
but
on a little car.
Right. I mean, the track, you know what I mean? Like, the track is as wide as the rear. The thing's nuts. And that thing has an atomic bomb shoved up its ass, where, like, this is a very nice engine.
Yeah. But once you drive that, you're like, slow.
That, I think, honestly, was part of the problem when I got in the ST. I'm like...
Yeah, I drove the ST first and then the Gunther.
Okay,
that's the correct order.
Probably.
You drive the Gunther and then go drive a fast, naturally aspirated car. You're like, that's not fast anymore.
But I got to say something funny. So like when I saw you up on Angeles Crest, and I looked at you and you were like, yeah, it's kind of the greatest. I was so relieved because I turned in my story. I'm like, I think it's the greatest car I've ever driven. Like I'm racking my brain trying to think of anything comparable. I'm like, it's like a 720S with a stick shift. You know what I mean? Like, but with better steering. And
this I don't know. I would say McLaren still has better steering, but it's fucking amazing, and it's everything I would want out of like a driver's car, but also like an old school experience, like in the same place.
Yeah, it was. It's
like racing engine, check. Usability in the street, check. Fucking nuclear weapon. Check.
Yeah. Unbelievable power to weight. And then it was funny. So that same day, you turned the car in that morning, I think. And then my buddy Chris DeJorio, who he's Rally Point East. It's like a car club in Long Island. He was in town, and he was in Orange County, and he wound up driving. And he texted me. He's like, he races like 911 Cups. He's like, this is the best street car I've ever driven. And I'm like, okay, good. Yeah. Matt's agreeing with me. The guy's a pretty good racer. He's on the podium a lot. Like, okay, I'm not like...
No, you're not nuts. Yeah. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And then even Spike likes it, too.
Yeah. I just love it. And then I wrote Peter, Nam, who owns Guntherwerks. I'm like, have you thought about doing an Apocalypse spec, Gunther Turbo? And he's like, no. He literally told me not to take photos of it.
Yeah, I know. He tried to convince us to drive it and not make a video. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I was like, Peter, no. And I'm like, it's cool. He still doesn't get it, but like,
He did have a point because a bunch of our viewers didn't understand the concept of mule.
Sure.
I talked about the phone and dialing in the settings, and they're like, real fucking good idea. It's like, no, that's how you set it. And then they finish the car and make it a button for track and sport. And like, That's what a prototype is. It's for dialing in.
Yeah.
Come on.
But I mean, I loved how it had this shit wrap on it, and then when that's peeling off, there's carbon fiber, like real carbon fiber.
Yeah.
And
I'll take that one. Put a parking brake in it and a heater, and I'll take that one.
I drove it back down there, and I asked, I said, what's happening to this car?
Yeah.
And the guy was like, yeah, it's going to get all fancied up. And I'm
Yeah.
But yeah, parking brake heater, fuel gauge.
Yeah, a fuel gauge is good.
That one has a fuel gauge. It's just not hooked up.
Right.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
it's a little hard to see from the driver's seat.
Oh, no. When I had it, there wasn't a fuel gauge.
They put that in
put that
afterwards.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one faces outward on the rear window for
Passenger
anybody,
side, rear
for anybody
window. Yeah,
listening.
it's not useful.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean.
You don't. It's not like you fuel it from
It's
there.
for the pit crew.
It's like, yeah, who's it for? Like you can't. You're not seeing it from the driver's seat, and you're not fueling it from there either.
It's for before you start your drive, you take a peek. I was just filling it up everywhere I went. Just
Yeah.
keep
I filled it up
full.
like 3 times in 4 days.
But like,
Because you have no idea how much you're using.
a lot. You're using a lot. It turns out atomic weapons.
Yeah. Actually, on a cruise, on a freeway
sure.
cruise, it was actually pretty reasonable.
I was shocked when because I ran up whatever I did on Angeles Crest, and it was like 9 gallons of gas, which is about half the tank.
To go up and back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a light car.
Yeah.
But I was cooking. I love that thing. I'm just mesmerized by it. But I had another point. Oh, Pat Long. I texted him when I got it, and because Peter, Pat helps him out, and he drove that thing on the hill climb that it beat everything on the Laguna Seca hill climb. And he's like, yeah, this thing is way further ahead development-wise than other Gunther mules have been.
Sure.
And like it doesn't tram line.
Well, it starts where those cars were finished.
But even better than those cars. I think they did something happened.
Well,
like,
the JRZ stuff gets better and
Super
better and
helps.
better. They've really figured out the tires and all that kind of stuff.
tires had tread all over them.
The tires were good.
Continentals.
Yeah,
amazing.
we should make clear that when Pat drove the car in the hill climb, it was on a race gas tune.
950 horsepower. Yeah.
So it's a little bit of extra, and the car is like capable of that. It's like you could do that. It's
Sure.
but it's holy fuck, would that be insane? I don't necessarily want that.
I told them, I said, you should make more than 800 or more than 750. And they're like, we're worried about our clients.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so one of them was saying like, well, we're thinking about like torque limiting in first and second.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, okay, that's acceptable.
Yeah.
But because this did what I love about, or one of the things I love about McLarens, like there is a moment of terror. There's a power band. It's like 6,500 to red line, which by the way, I didn't realize was 7,500 till further into my drive.
Yeah.
Because it's indicated 7. But that is terrifying, and McLarens have that from like 6 to 7.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, whoa!
Yeah.
Shift, and I love that.
Where your body is telling you it is time to shift now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that car. I love that car.
It is bananas.
Yeah. It's good for them.
You understand why someone would steal from their employees in order to buy something like that.
Oh, I was driving around in the ST like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you don't want to go that direction, definitely.
Yeah, and look again. I don't. It's going to be Johnny doesn't like the ST. Johnny loves the ST.
Yeah, no.
ST is wonderful.
Matt loves the ST as well.
Yeah,
but it ain't that.
It ain't that. Yeah. And this is again is a $1 million car that kind of is like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's a very narrowly focused client for that sort of thing.
And like the ST. If it was a $40,000 lightweight option for the touring, it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
$290 is kind of like,
And people were buying them for $5,000, $6,000.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I built one on the configurator. It was $340.
Yeah.
And then it's like add $300.
Well, the red GT3 RS is I think $243 base.
Mm-hmm.
That one has Visoc, brakes, and extended leather, and it's $280 something.
Yeah.
It's 3 options.
Crazy
Jacks it
money.
up $40,000. So it's just crazy.
There was one at Cars and Coffee last weekend in GT Silver, and it's the first time I've really liked GT Silver. It really worked on an RS.
If you can
I
keep
put a
that
picture of
car-
it on Instagram. If you go from it may not really come through so well. Go to up at the very top. There's a picture of the NSX on the left, second down.
Yeah.
Scroll over to the right. One more. I thought this just worked. It doesn't really come out in the picture. It looks just regular silver, but it has a depth to it that really was very nice.
You can like these can be really good. Well, I'm starting to see though it's my new business idea, but I'm starting to see some like fucking clown car specs already. And so this is my business idea. It's called win-win. So you send me what you've configured, Mr. Rich Guy, and I will remove shit to make it look good. And so if it's a $10,000 option, you pay me $5,000 to remove it. Win-win.
Yeah,
cost you less, and you won't be on worse spec.
Yeah.
And so it's my new thing.
It's a good business idea. I like that.
Right?
Partner with worse spec. It's like a bribery thing, like Yelp, and you have to pay them to not.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't want to talk about what he did because I don't know whose car it is, but like, he almost got it right, and then it has these fucking rectangle patches on it. Like, Tony, I'll show you when we're off the air.
Rectangles.
I circled it and I sent him a picture. I'm like, what the fuck is this? He's like, I thought it was cool. I'm like, it's not cool.
All right, we'll have to check that out later.
Yeah.
We should get to our main topic today.
Okay.
Main topic is the thing. Our top Euro tuner cars. Because we just talked about the Guntherwerks.
Can that be one of them?
Lead us in. Sure can.
Third.
That's Guntherwerks counts. That is a Euro. I mean, I don't think it. I think it's the tuning of European cars.
Okay.
The tuner doesn't have to be located in Europe specifically.
So that was my question because I had RWB on there, and I'm like, oh, he's Japanese. Does that count as a Euro tuner?
I went with shops or cars that were built in Europe.
Okay,
I did too, but the rules are fluid.
It's a conversational rule. So
okay, so I mean, I'll do RWB 5th place. I'll do.
Oh wait, hang on. We go around the horn.
Oh,
round
okay.
the horn.
Okay.
RWB. Do we count RWB as a tuner or a body shop?
Ooh.
I mean,
I know it can be both.
I think you have to realize that most people don't draw a distinction, a sort of a difference without a distinction, and like, I don't know. Well, you want to get rid of it?
No. I mean, it's totally up to you.
Oh, okay.
And I think RWB totally moved the needle or set a new bar, and like they kind of broke open some like. Not 911 modifications because the cars have always been modified, but they made a name for themselves, and I think it's justified. And even if some people go, oh, the cars don't handle well because they have weird offsets, it's still like an amazing thing to exist in the automotive world.
And I think I think part of being in this hobby, whatever, is like, go back to when you were a kid. It didn't matter how anything drove. And like, again, one of my foundational memories was seeing a Countach in Old Town Montreal, orange Countach on dark gray cobblestones. And I was 9 or something, and it was like a fucking spaceship. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. And my dad was cool enough, he let me like just geek out and scream at it for 30 minutes. So I still see RWBs and I do that. I'm like, oh my God, look how wide that is. That's bananas, So
and so much of hot rodding is just style, and the cars drive like shit.
Yeah,
but
like lowriders.
When I was a kid, fell in love with them because they look cool.
I would have a lowrider. I wouldn't want to drive it too much, but I'd love to have a lowrider to look at.
Yeah,
they're the best paint in the world.
Yeah,
so
I would say it does count.
Okay,
I think it counts, and particularly because they build some actual race cars.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not all of them are that, but they have ones that are, for sure.
Like the one Bo owns, the purple one.
Yeah.
It's just wild.
I parked right next to it. Go down to that same post, just right there. There it is, on the left. That's it, right next to my car.
Yeah, okay, yeah, boom. That's great.
That's a 993 RWB, which is pretty goddamn cool.
Yeah, that one. Cool. That one,
because it's Bo, it's the right color.
And the wheels work.
Yeah. So, all right. Okay, Zach?
My first was the 2006 Brabus Rocket.
Oh,
CLS.
Dude, I had that, and then I crossed it out, and I did the E-Class because the Rocket was a CLS, but I put the EV12, which is the E-Class version of basically the same car.
Okay. I mean, this was, I remember, what's the guy, the Fifth Gear host?
Wow.
Tiff?
No, the one who burned himself crashing a race car. Plato. Jason Plato.
Oh.
He drove this on 5th gear, and I saw it like torrented when I was a kid, and he went, whatever miles per hour on the Autobahn. But this thing did 227 on the Nardo ring, which is, I mean, that's a nutty place to go that fast.
Yes.
And I just remember I love the shape of this car, the CLS, and then the fact that a company, granted Brabus is a huge company, but they turned it into this Veyron speed type thing. I
The
thought
twin
it was the coolest shit in
turbo
the world.
V12 from the S600 in the CLS.
In the CLS.
Plus.
And it was like 900 horsepower, or was it more?
720 horsepower, 970 torque.
Okay.
And 0 to 60 in 3.2. Back, 20 years ago,
that was
that's
a lot.
incredible.
That's a lot. My pickup truck does that now, but that's a lot.
Exactly, but 0 to 120 in 10 seconds flat. It left a big mark
227
on
in
me.
that would be terrifying.
On a circle.
So
Yeah.
the Brabus EV12,
Yeah.
which is from 2009, this thing had similar power.
This
right, it was like one.
Black
It was called
Baron.
EV12 1 of 10. Right? It was actually
the Black Baron. That's the best name ever.
Yeah,
It is. Just go to that. That'll be fine. That's got to be it. This is a 6-liter V12 twin turbo, 780 horsepower and 1,100 pound-feet.
Yeah.
This will do 230 miles an hour.
Yes.
And has 12 piston front brakes.
What? Oh, with this thing has the covers. Yeah.
This is like a streamliner.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Gotta love that.
Oof. It does not look good.
No, it does not
These
look
covers
good.
look so bad.
No,
But
in
it's
fairness, two
Oh.
of my 5 do not look good,
Okay.
but they go like a motherfucker.
Wow.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's wild.
Isn't that silly? 12 piston brakes.
How does that have 12 pistons?
I don't
tiny
know.
Little,
I
those
don't
are
know.
little baby pistons. Or it has 2 calipers.
Right.
Maybe
that's
it's
what I was
dual
looking for.
caliper. Yeah.
Brabus has always just made the craziest shit, and
Yeah.
they shove the V12s into anything
Yeah.
they could. But yeah,
That's a good
cool.
one. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think Brabus V12 engine is that's what's up. Johnny, what do you got next?
So, I don't know if this counts as a tuner, but I was going to say the Aston Martin DB4 Zagato, which again is more of a body kit
Coach
thing.
built.
Yeah, is that a tuner? That was the first thing that popped in my head because I think it's like maybe it has the right to claim it's the most beautiful car ever made.
That's so interesting. I would not have put this in a. It's not what I would think of with Euro tuner, but I think coach building. I mean, look, if RWB, this was coach
just
built
a
for
couple decades
racing.
earlier, yeah.
RWB, same vibe.
And I love what Zagato does. There was a blue one, a real blue one I saw at the Geneva show a while ago. And again, it always looked great in pictures. And you always like, what's the most beautiful car of all time? Is it the 250 short wheelbase? Is it blah blah blah? And I saw this thing in person, especially there's the hard front. Look at that hard
Exceptional.
front. It's just so good looking. It may not be a tuner. I was also saying maybe Bread Van. It's a
we saw
one-off.
Bread Van in Goodwood.
Yeah.
It's really weird looking.
Yeah.
It's
but
really
it
weird.
is really rad.
It is rad.
Yeah.
But its radness comes from its functionality more so than its prettiness, I think.
Yeah.
This is just so
and
pretty.
So again, I don't know if it's really a tuner, but to me, it's always been. Again, there's a lot to the car world, and a lot of people, especially the younger generation, they don't care about stuff like this. But I'm like, when you see it in person, it does take your breath away.
Yeah.
And it's popped into my head. It's like,
Okay.
tuning house.
Sure. Zach?
So this was like, was this a tuner or is this a builder? So Alphaholics GTA R.
Very similar to
It's
I think that's a tuner.
yeah.
it's
they're-
tough because
they're
like
a
they do a
tuner.
full restoration on the thing,
No, it's a tuner.
but
But they start with a factory
Yeah.
car, take it apart, and put it back together better. That's
I
a
mean,
tuner.
I think it's one of the prettiest cars ever made, and I love front engine, rear wheel drive versus mid engine stuff, and they just touch every little piece of it. They're supposed to drive perfectly. It's kind of old school driving, NA manual, all that stuff, and I just love it.
That's a good answer.
That's
Thank you. I appreciate
That's
it.
a good answer. Yeah.
Everything on my list is cars that were modified from the brand new car of the time. So
Right.
I left off, Gunther, which is building 25-year-old cars, and Singer and stuff like this. These count. I'm not saying they
I left off Singer too.
I'm not saying they don't count, but like everything on my list was a company that took a brand new European car and modified it in that period.
Those are my other three, but because my brain went to like, does Roof count? Because Roof is a quote manufacturer, not a tuner.
Well,
I think
that's some
so.
weird German designation.
I think that's paperwork more than
Well, like the new CTR is. I mean, that's a new body.
that's different.
So
but like my number one
Of course,
is a
it's
Yellowbird.
Right.
So like that is possibly the world's greatest tuner car, you know, in period.
I have it second place.
Okay. but
spicy.
you know, you take a car where
Yeah.
Porsche was doing a single turbo, 4 gears, and 170 mile an hour top speed. Roof took the same chassis, twin turbo, 6 gears, 211 miles
You're
an
getting
hour.
ahead of yourself, but yeah,
fair.
absolutely.
When you know, when Ferrari and Lambo could barely crack 180, this
Yeah.
thing was
Oh,
doing
yeah.
211.
I admit I took license with 2 of mine with the
sort of, yeah.
purpose-built thing.
Yeah.
But
But
the
I
other
will
3 are
say
just modified versions.
The Zagato thing, that was in period. That was
Yeah, no,
1964.
for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
So
Okay. Well, I've revealed the Yellowbird, which you had as number 2.
Number 2.
What else do you have on yours?
So number 3 for me, if we're letting it play, the Gunther, the Turbo Mule specifically.
Okay.
You know, and we already talked about it, but like, you know, what's the problem with tuner cars? Like they're, you know, always great on paper. The driving experience suffers. This is so much better in reality than it even sounds like on paper.
True.
Yeah, that's and at least the Mule looks fucking badass.
The Yellowbird was that too. I got to drive Bruce's.
Yes.
And it was so different.
Yeah, I'm so jealous. Remember that was the day I had 2
Oh, yeah.
Bugattis?
You had 2
I had
Bugattis, and
I
you
was
were
like,
jealous
I was
of
like,
me.
fucking Matt.
Yeah, we're on the fucking canyon, and there you go by with a fucking Chiron and a Veyron.
No.
Was it 2 Chirons?
Yeah, it was a Chiron Sport,
Sport
and a
and
Chiron Pure Sport.
right?
Yeah.
And you go by with 2 of those, and I'm over here like meh, meh, in this little yellow car, and you're like, motherfucker.
I was like, and it was so funny because like a lot of the guys were like, "Why do you care about that car?" I'm like,
Because it's that
it's
car.
the Yellowbird, dude, you kids. Yeah.
But driving that car, I've driven every air-cooled car, you know, you could think of, and this was way different.
Yeah.
Just the way the engine felt and the way it worked was way different.
One of my big career regrets, and I finally have learned my lesson, is like don't try and review cars during Pebble Beach because
it's
just
terrible.
a disaster.
Yeah.
But I drove the Roof SCR. So that's the one, you know, it's the carbon fiber chassis. It's naturally aspirated, 500 horsepower, 4-liter. It's got to be one of the best cars I've ever driven. And I just like didn't get the review written, and it's just kind of dead soldier.
Yeah.
But like,
thou shalt not review cars during Pebble Beach.
yes, but,
Cardinal
like,
rule.
I remember I was with you know, old man Roof, and like the 3-4 shift at like wide open. I turned to him, I'm like, I've been waiting for this moment for like 33 years. And he's like, yeah, in German we call it a screaming orgasm. I was like crying, and he's
Yeah.
just like, orgasm.
Zach,
so-
what do you got next?
APR Golf R.
Oh.
And this
Okay.
article is actually from Motor Trend. I'm not sure who wrote it, but that's where I found the photos. But you know, this is a tuner, well-known Volkswagen.
Not the
Audi tuner.
HPA, the APR.
Not in Europe. I love the HPA,
That's
but
Ca-
that's
that's
Canada.
Canada-
That
Canada
is the
tuner.
America's Europe.
Yeah.
But you know, I
Brad-
otherwise I
Brad
love
wrote-
HPA.
Oh,
They
Brad
would've
Iger
gotten
wrote
it.
this one. Yeah.
But I just think, you know, Europe, they love hatchbacks. They use them for everything. They're very practical with that regard. And this engine takes so much boost. This is like a fully built long block. It's only 470 horsepower, but
In a Golf R, that's
but
a
that's
bunch.
perfect.
Yeah.
No, but it's not 700, which is why I liked it. This is a really balanced vehicle, and APR makes really good stuff.
They do, but I was going to say, speaking of unbalanced, you remember like 18 years ago, somebody shoved, or Volkswagen shoved the W12
Yeah,
into
yeah.
a
Of
Golf.
Yeah.
That, and then wide bodied it.
Yeah,
That was so cool.
It was a mess on Top Gear's
Yeah.
handling track,
Oh,
but it looked
whatever.
Who,
I mean,
who gives a shit? It was
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
so cool. I would, you know, now that we've established, I think, for purpose of the discussion, that we can have Euro tuner cars from places besides Europe. The HPA Golf R I drove, which had a twin turbo VR6 powertrain in the front of it, 740 horsepower with a TTRS dual clutch gearbox.
Okay.
It ran a 9.7 quarter mile.
Oh, yeah.
And it looked, other than a set of wheels, it looked totally stock. It was a construction foreman's car. He wanted a super sleeper that he could drive to work, and the people who worked for him didn't know he had some crazy shit, but he had a neighbor with a GTR, and he wanted something faster than that.
9.7 is faster than
And HPA, shout out to Marcel.
Great.
HPA builds some shit that works, and this car worked. Everything worked. It was plug and play. It was totally normal, and it wanted to jump out of its own tires. It was nuts.
Weren't they making some like TTRSs that are doing like 7s or something? Like they were like.
There's a couple different companies that have those. IROS Motorsport has one. HPA has one.
HPA.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to. I don't.
Those
forget what
5
happened.
cylinders are nuts.
Yeah,
they're mental.
I mean, dude, like the RS3.
That's the IRS one, right?
Yeah.
The one that's raced on this versus that.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Man, like RS3s are just. I mean, you just stock. They're just killer little things.
They're so fast.
I love them.
Okay, hot hatch, check.
Cool. Are we on number 2?
I mean, I'm kind of bouncing around unfortunately. I've got 1987 Alpina B7S Turbo. Okay. That's based on the E24 6 Series.
Beautiful.
Single turbo, 3.5 liter, 6-cylinder manual gearbox. Mild by our standards, 334 horsepower.
You said 87, right?
But
87, 88.
I chose 82. But we'll
think
see how different
they're basically the same.
But here's the thing. Sometimes like a little tune is fine. You know what I mean? Like you don't always like Zach, like you were saying, like 470 horse instead of 740.
Yeah,
really does improve the car.
So that's
an E28.
That one right there. That one. Yeah, that's literally the photo that I based mine off.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
There was there was a silver one in Miami with the same graphics when I did the RM show. Yeah,
it's spectacular.
You bite the back of your hand.
I mean, the one they have. You haven't been to Alpina, have you, in Germany?
I'd love to go.
Gotta go. Andreas, the coolest.
Yep.
And the one that they have, like their original one, fuck me.
Yeah.
British Racing Green with the gold stripe.
That's the one I chose, and it's from 82. I mean, basically the same.
Oh yeah,
car.
that looks just like the one that they've got.
Those graphics are so good. They're so
but the
good.
cars are like the shape of this car is so
Beautiful.
pretty. And how much power is your 87?
Enough.
It was 335 horsepower.
Oh yeah, cool. Okay,
That's plenty of power.
No, it is. I'm curious what these numbers were back in the day.
1982,
that's a bunch.
That was
Totally.
Dude,
insane.
the Countach was making 360 at that time.
Yeah,
it's not like that wasn't a bunch. That was a bunch.
That's awesome.
I'd love to fucking have one of those. I think if I was gonna have an 80s BMW at any money, it's got to be one of those.
You know, it's so funny you picked this because I was thinking when I was coming up with this. You know, I definitely had Alpina, but I have so little exposure to those things.
Yeah.
I've driven the last 10 years a lot of the BMW Alpina stuff.
Yeah.
But I just have never I never really thought about them when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know
to
what I
go
mean?
to the factory is to love them. You know what they have over there in the collection? They built 2 concept Alpina Z1s, and they're fucking rad.
Nice.
You think this looks good on those Alpina wheels?
Yeah.
The Z1 on the it's the greatest. It was so
Have you
cool.
driven a Z1?
No, never. They're not good, I've heard.
It's you have all the performance of an E30 without the structural integrity.
Yeah, I've heard they're not great, but they look awesome.
We did a thing. I think it was the launch of the Z4, but they had a Z1, a Z3 original, which was surprisingly like, we're always telling kids like get a Miata, like maybe they should be getting Z3s. Like they're pretty amazing to drive. And then they had a Z8, and the Z8 was like horrible to drive. It was recirculating ball steering. Like it had the great engine transmission. You turn it, it was lousy.
It just looks so good though.
So okay, this is not on my list, but you made me think of it. Do you remember the Alpina Z8?
Sure.
So they
made it an automatic.
Engine.
Yeah. They made a stroker motor, 4.6 stroker motor, or 4.8.
I think it wound up being 5 liters.
It started with a 4. Andreas told us the story in the show. It started with a 4. I think it was 4.8.
Oh, maybe it was 4.8, but it was they made
4.8.
it torquier.
4.8, yeah.
Okay. They made it torquier. So it started as a 540 motor instead of starting as an E39 M5 motor.
Correct.
And it was an automatic. But apparently, I've never driven one, but everyone who drives say, this is, with that shipball steering, this is what it should be, more of a cruiser.
I have driven it, and it is much nicer than you would think.
Yeah.
I would still prefer a manual, obviously, given the mission of the car, but
just again, you've driven E39 M5.
Yeah.
You know how just killer that is. So you have that, and then you turn the wheel and it sucks. It's
that's rough. Recirculating ball. I mean, that's Jeep Wrangler stuff. That's like old muscle cars. That's terrible.
That's 80s Land Cruiser technology. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
the
like
steering
early
isn't
90s
great.
Crown Vic.
But everything else about the Z8.
Oh, it's the most
perfect.
beautiful
Absolutely.
thing. Yeah.
And I would suck it up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're driving the cars and coffee.
Yeah.
It is a piece of art. And a good one.
But oh god, Andreas is the goddamn coolest. We love him.
Yeah.
He picked me up at the airport in a B8 Grand Coupe when I flew to visit them, and within 3 minutes he was doing 185 miles an hour.
Sure.
It was awesome.
And also, B8 Grand Coupes, amazing
The
cars.
best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really
The
make
best.
a better M8.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very,
they're
very
really-
good.
They're really, really good.
Okay, what else you got?
Well, I had number 2. I had Roof Yellowbird, the original. My number 1. I'll just give you my number 1. The Hammer Wagon.
Ah,
The Hammer Wagon.
Hammer Wagon.
And there was one in dark blue.
You're talking about the 124 Hammer
The
Wagon.
AMG
Yeah.
80s Hammer
Yeah,
Wagon
yeah.
is, again.
This would be the 87 Hammer Wagon.
Yep.
They had a 6-liter.
That's the one.
Yeah,
That's
so
the blue.
yeah.
Is that blue or black?
It's
Anyways.
dark blue.
Yeah.
So they had a 6-liter 4-cam in the previous generation wagon also, which is also very badass.
But this thing, just when it's 1987 and I get Road and Track, and it's on the cover or whatever, and they're like, a Testarossa can go 170 miles an hour. A Countach can go 171. A 928 can go 177. Hammer Wagon can go 180. And I exploded. My brain broke. I could not believe that was a real thing.
Yeah.
And it still gets me just as excited. Probably 10% of the reason I do what I do is because reading that story about that car.
I agree
blew
with
my
you.
fucking mind.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
And I have as my number 2
Yeah.
the entire Hammer range
Again,
of cars.
100%
so
agreed.
the wagon is the coolest.
It just
definitely
the blue,
but
Yeah.
the blue
good
wheels.
blue.
and it was black and white. The fucking article in '87 was. I had no idea it was blue until the internet showed up.
Yeah.
And look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's excellent. I would my own money on the table. I would get the previous generation wagon, which I think is the TD.
Yeah.
The AMG 6.0 TD or something like that. Yeah, this one.
Very cool.
300 TD Hammer Wagon. That's it. Yeah, that one.
Let's see if Flickr still works.
Does Flickr work? Oh no, that's not it. That's the car. That's like a weird one.
That is.
That's a weird one. Go down. It's
Let me go to images.
But you're right. Any of the '80s Hammers, again, I had to drive one so briefly, and I mean a couple feet. But I drove a 560 SEL that was the 6-liter. I didn't think it was called a Hammer. It's just an '80s AMG.
Yeah, so the '80s ones weren't called Hammers until this, but sort of now, casually,
Everything's a Hammer.
They're all Hammer. Yeah.
And
I get yelled at by people. It's not a Hammer. It's got a 6-liter 4-cam. Shut the fuck up. That's the Hammer engine.
The reason these were Hammers is because they became muscle cars because you're putting the big engine in the little body or the mid-sized body.
Ooh, look at that. AMG C124 Coupe. Now that is excellent.
It's a really good looking
The
car.
wagon is good, but I don't know. That might
be it.
better.
Look at these
That
fender
might be
flares.
the
Those
one.
are perfect.
It's like the other day I saw a second-gen CTSV Coupe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, actually, that's better.
That's actually good.
Ooh, average price $266,000.
Yeah.
Until one goes to auction and it's $740,000. So
Yeah.
that's what those 560s were going for in Miami. Was over $7.
Well, the one of them was just this recently.
the one that was a year ago in December.
Yeah. So the one that was here is at Curated right now and is going to auction, and it'll probably be 7 to 8.
And it's
I miss looking at it. I could see it from my office.
Yeah.
It's very sad that it's not there.
So it's I get the argument for Yellowbird, but it's just I don't know. And they're kind of the same era. They
are. They're literally the same years.
Same year. Right.
Do you have one more on your list or two more on your list?
Yeah, but
What do you
this
got?
one I bent the rules a little bit.
Okay.
Because this is not even a tuning company. This is from a person. Do you remember the video, early internet?
Yeah.
Right.
I know
so
exactly
this
what you're
is
talking
a 65, I think.
Yes.
VW van.
Yeah.
That was stretched like a foot in the middle, and then they put a 993 drivetrain,
Turbo.
all-wheel drive and
Turbo.
everything, turbo,
Yeah.
in there. And I just remember watching this video of this thing passing Lotus
Everything.
Elises.
Was it
no fucking
Hockenheim?
problem.
Somewhere
There's
in
a video of it
Germany,
on
right?
Spa, and I think
Spa.
Hockenheim.
Spa was the one I remember.
I mean, it smoked cars.
Everything.
And I hadn't seen a custom European build like that. I'd seen that stuff in hot rod, kind of realm, but that blew my mind.
Yeah.
And that was the most
So
impactful European vehicle.
Spinelli and I were talking about this, like things like this. That became like a week of thought on Jalopnik back in the day. Like somebody would find this video,
this one,
and it would-
FB1 race taxi. in
That
Spa
website doesn't work anymore.
versus GT3.
and this would be me.
This guy's just fucking mobbing this thing.
And so this would be me and Davey and Bumbeck, I am messengering each other
Yeah.
for a week straight,
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to do the post.
There are memes in here for sure.
Oh, this is
Look how flat it handles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing.
There's no lean happening.
Yeah.
And
No,
it
this
was-
is
it
the
was,
video.
500
This is fantastic.
horsepower.
I spent a month of my life watching this video.
And by the way, like, look at the air conditioning vents up on the top, like the dashboard. Like, it's not like this is some stripped out piece of shit. Like,
and
this
I
is
believe
actually,
the roof was carbon fiber.
It's
and
like fabbed up,
They
nice.
widened it. They did a really good job, and it was a different chassis from the body, and then they mated that with the 993 stuff.
Yeah.
and it just ran stuff down. It
was great.
So
cool.
another one I almost threw on the list was, you remember the guy taking Golfs and putting 928 motors
Oh,
into them?
yeah,
and he
yeah.
would widen the Golf.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look up like Golf 920. It was
yeah,
insane.
it's like super sleepery. At
But
first,
he
you're like,
made a
what's,
bunch.
what's done here?
Well, it was just that's
It's
that
look how
picture,
wide it is.
No, one more over. Yeah, that.
Yeah,
So it's just the first gen Golf, and you're like,
It's like on a 1.5 wide.
Aspect
It's like you
ratios,
went from
yeah.
4.3 to 16 by 9.
But you
on
didn't
the-
hit, keep proportions correct.
Yeah.
but isn't that cool?
Yeah,
that's,
very cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's I would do something like that. That's kind of up my alley. The bus in this, that'd be the 2-car solution everyone talks about. Boom.
The last one on my list is the Koenig C62, which is a street.
Is that a tuner?
Well,
Koenig. Yeah,
Koenig.
yeah.
Koenig. This is. I drove this car.
yeah.
I made a video with it.
Yeah, I remember.
I doubled its mileage in one day by making a video of this car. It wasn't what I would call pleasant. This is a continuation series Porsche 962 race car. It's a real 962 chassis. The body looks similar, but they've actually changed every panel a little bit. It makes 550 horsepower at the wheels.
Did it have the boost knob?
It did have the boost knob. It is a 3.2 liter air-cooled turbocharged car. They made
course
3.
it is, yeah.
It was $1.3 million in period.
You were very nervous that day.
I was incredibly nervous. I drove it in the rain.
So 1.3 million in period is like 80 billion, right? It's
yes.
like, okay.
And they set up the suspension for street use, but
Whatever
it
that
is,
means.
Yeah.
It is fundamentally a
Did they
Porsche
actually?
962 with a license
Look at
plate on
this.
it. And so
So,
Imagine seeing that in your rearview mirror.
well, I mean, the thing that's crazy though, the actual C62 Straßenwagen or whatever they call it, oh, that's really good. Looks
Yeah.
good from behind.
That is
That's
insane. The
best
back
80s
is so
graphics.
wild.
But like the actual C62 is so good looking. Like
Yes.
the street car, they did such a good job.
you mean the actual 9, like the
962s.
Chopin ones and the
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had to build 5 of them or whatever they did.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
This one, I mean,
Interior.
they've not tried to disguise it very much for the street. I mean,
Yeah.
it is very, very silly. And to drive it, once you're moving, it's good, but it's so clear that like you were only ever supposed to be in first gear
To get out of the pit.
get out of the pit because God help you got to come to a stop. This thing did not want to get into first gear, but once you were going, it was all right.
pull up a regular
Porsche 962.
Yeah, Porsche 962. Well, it's called a 962 CR.
Yeah.
There was one at Rennsport, and sadly, it sat under a tent, and it was dark, and it was in shade, so there's no good photos of
So
it.
basically, after the 962 was kind of banned from sort of racing, they changed the rules. The
yellow one.
They licensed the design to 3 other people: Chopin,
Yeah.
Dower, and Koenig.
I think we saw Chopin at Goodwood.
Correct. We saw the Chopin at Goodwood. I think we probably saw the blue one.
Yeah.
Also the Chopin one that Jay Leno drove, the top left.
Yeah.
That was owned by our friend Matt Ivanhoe, the cultivated collector. So they changed bodywork a little bit. The Chopin one had a pretty nice interior. The Dower one went racing.
Yeah.
And actually had some success racing.
Right.
The Chopin one looks like it was made in the 90s, and the one you drove looks like it's from the 80s. Like
Well,
that,
it was.
Like describing like visually, like that's what the real difference.
Can I swap out Yellowbird for the yellow Chopin? Because look at that, it's like a 959, like a 961 actually.
So the Chopin was from 93 and the Koenig was from 87. So there's a pretty big gap in.
Dude, I want that. Look at that. That is so cool.
Yeah,
that is. Look at that. Look at the mirrors. There's no way those mirrors work.
You take them off as soon as you buy the car.
The interior of the Chopin one has like real leather.
Sure,
it's actually like it's tiny, but it's kind of nice.
And I believe they all spit flames, which is, by the way, the Guntherwerks spits flames.
I'm sure.
And I only know that
I wasn't there to see it.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know it either. I passed a guy on 9 Mile.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're spitting flames."
All right.
Like, yes.
Cars that shoot fire are better than cars that don't. Look
at
that interior. See, that's luxurious compared to.
There's a big difference from the one you drove.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it impossible to get into?
No, because you kind of dropped down from above, and the steering wheel came off. So it actually it wasn't that terrible.
Because I climbed into a CLK GTR.
Oh, I've heard they're terrible.
And it was I remember it was that dude, the collection in Bahrain. And the dude was like, I was like, "Can I sit in it?" Because we were, he had a F1, we're jumping in the F1 and all that. He had a fucking 993 GT1,
oh, rad.
Which is one of two.
Yeah.
But so I'm like, "Ooh, can I get in this?" And he goes, "No." And I go, "Really? You just let me in your F1?" He's like, "No, you won't be able to get in."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got like one leg in. He's like, "Worst date car ever."
Yeah. They're tiny.
But the sill is maybe 20 inches. It's such a stupid sill, and you can't. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
But awesome.
Not meant for real people. All right.
Well, good list of tuner.
That's
Euro
a good
tuners.
list of Euro tuner cars. Thank you for joining us for this fucking main topic today.
I think we covered every angle of Euro tuning possible.
Some good ones in there. Yeah. Got a few questions from the Patreon. Of course, if you want to ask questions of our guests or us, patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. We got a lot here, so we're going to actually pick our favorite ones. We're not going to force ourselves to do all of them, but we still appreciate y'all very much. David says, what advice do you have for car enthusiasts who feel like maybe they don't have enough money to fit in with the hobby as a whole? Does someone rolling around with a 6-figure car maybe respect someone who can only spend $30 to $50 on a car? Does it have to do more with someone's personal insecurities? I think that you can get something cool at almost every single price point.
Yeah, I saw a 2006 WRX the other day that I was driving the GT3 RS around, and I stopped and took pictures of the Subaru.
Yeah.
And I don't know what those cost, 5, 6, 7,000 right now. Like super cool and a great driving experience. Like absolutely.
There was a meme that got stolen from me. I mean, I don't care, but I took a picture. I was driving the Ferrari F8 Spider press car, and I took a picture of someone in like a mint Buick Roadmaster on the freeway. And I put on Instagram, like, yes, I'm the guy from the $400,000 Ferrari taking pictures of this, like, Buick Roadmaster.
Oh, sure.
And it got stolen from my Instagram, and it still gets reposted all the time. And most people assume they don't accredit me, so they assume it's some shitbag bragging about his $400,000 car, not me in a press car.
Right.
But, like, I was in this Ferrari taking pictures of a guy in a Buick is the point.
Yeah,
and that's my life.
And I was going to shoot the GT3 RS, and I see this perfect. It's on my Instagram. You can pull it up. This perfect 2006 or 7 blue WRX, and I'm just like, I'm just taking pictures of that.
And now it doesn't mean like the people that you're describing, David, don't exist. Like I was quote invited to be part of a quote driving club that I will not name, and I went to their website and their Instagram, and it's all Huracans and Ferraris and McLarens, and you have to apply, and it's very clear that the people in this club only want to hang out with other people in this club. And then I go, you know what? I go to a car meet on Fridays on top of a mountain where there's people in brand new Lamborghinis, and there's people in old Volkswagens, and there's people in Miatas, and there's people in fucking vans, and we are all hanging out on the top of the mountain together,
Yeah.
and that's where I want to be.
Yeah, exactly right.
I saw a Mint 92X last week when I left here. And I gave the guy a thumbs up, and he was like, "Whoa, what you?" And I was like, "These
That
things
was
look awesome."
my first professional car review was
Really?
a Saab 92X. Yeah, the Subaru.
The GM price deal on that was the way to go.
Yeah, I was just going to say years ago. So it was when the R35 came out, so late 2008.
7, 8.
Yeah, whenever it was.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this. I ran into like 5 dudes that had Ferraris and shit like that, and a crowd gathered, and the dude in the Ferrari, and it was like an F430 Spider. He was showing some of the kids that one by one you could click through and show the tire pressure of each wheel, but you had to like look at the left front, click right front. And I was standing there and I go, oh, hey, the GTR, you can see all 4 at the same time. And he looked at me, he's like, I don't care. And I was like, fuck this guy, man. And
Yeah.
it was just such a weird elitist thing, and it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, those people exist, but
Yeah.
like our social group isn't
Nah.
isn't them.
Yeah. And so, and also, I would just, one more thing, you can make more money. It might seem at some point in your life that you're trapped and locked in, but we don't have a caste system here, assuming you're American. You can change your station in life if you want to make more money to buy cars. It's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah.
And also you can get a great car for $30,000 to $50,000. That's a bunch of money for a fun car.
And you could get a great car for less.
Yeah. Christian says, can you explain to my girlfriend that driving a car in sport mode doesn't give you more traction in the snow? Pretty straightforward there, Christian. No, doesn't.
I'll just go ahead and say it does.
Getting better tires does.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Derek says, one of my coworkers gets a whiskey sour with Buffalo Trace as his go-to restaurant drink. Is Buffalo Trace his best choice for this drink regularly available at a restaurant?
I'll take this one. Sure, Buffalo Trace whiskey is fine. It's one where if someone starts adding ice cubes and Diet Coke, I wouldn't even think twice about it. So yeah, if he likes a whiskey sour made with that. And remember, before bourbon prices got stupid, that was a $19 bottle. It's fine. It's their lowest priced offering that they admit to.
Yeah, but for a mixed drink,
Sure.
that's fine.
Go
totally
nuts.
fine.
Yeah.
I also like Four Roses for a mixed drink.
Depends. Yeah.
That's all right.
Now, remember, with Four Roses, you get into a wide spectrum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
brought
yeah.
one here once. That was amazing. And it was
Yeah, no,
expensive.
but like the entry level Four
Yeah.
Roses for a mixed drink is good.
Just be careful. They still make a subhuman Four Roses.
They do?
They make like a because Four Roses was this funny thing where it just, as an old distillery, and when people stopped drinking bourbon completely in the 80s, it was because, back in the 80s, everyone just wanted clear liquor, vodka, Tom Cruise cocktails, blah, blah. So in America, they just released horrible shit. Four Roses was bottom of the barrel. They sold the good shit in Japan, so they still knew how to make the good shit. And then once the bourbon resurgence happened, you start getting better Four Roses. So especially the yellow label Four Roses, beware, not good.
We went to a cocktail bar in Palm Springs 2 weeks ago called the Evening Citizen. Ooh. It's like a speakeasy thing. You like enter from the back under an unmarked door.
Why not?
Whatever.
Yeah.
But I had the best bourbon cocktail I've ever had, and it was called, oh fuck me.
That's a good name. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Give me 2.
Oh Jesus!
Bartender. May I have another?
Go to my Instagram. I put a name of it. There's a picture. It's from like last week. Go down. There's a pic. Keep going. There, left. With Hannah on the Bentley. Go to. No, sorry. Next post. Sorry. Apologize, people. Me driving the car in the middle. That's the one. The Brown Derby. Thank you.
Okay.
It was. I don't know what the fuck was in it. It was from an old Hollywood cocktails book from the 30s.
It's probably from the Brown Derby restaurant. Yeah.
Possibly, yeah. But it was very, very good.
I mean, look, I'm not one for mixed drinks these days. That said, a good Manhattan, a good old fashioned, bourbon.
It
drinks.
was in that vibe.
Yeah, they're fucking great. Yeah, they're fucking great.
Ryan says, have any of you driven a Cage, Kaege, retro 911? It's a 993 backdated to a 964 and modded. Never heard of it until now. It looks Let's see what this photo looks like.
Why would you? I guess I don't know.
I'm not
gonna
sure.
say why. Because you know what? People would say, "Why would you do anything doing 993?" And then we
just talked about Gunther for 20 minutes.
So maybe it's a great idea.
I mean,
You want the look of the 964?
That looks weird.
well, let me just say that looks weird.
That
looks
odd.
a bit ungainly. From
That looks good.
This low
Yeah,
shot,
that was a
it's
Targa,
got
I
a
think.
Singer-ish look. The Targa roof does not match the backdated
weird.
body at all. I would not do that.
But the side shot looks okay.
I mean, it looks all right. There's a lot of companies doing this kind of stuff.
Suddenly, there's
Right.
like
Well,
30. Yeah.
I mean, all of a sudden, Singer, when Singer gets a 2-year waiting list, and they're,
Yeah,
$800,000-$900,000,
Yeah.
there's going to be a whole bunch of companies that show up to fill the gap.
Actually,
underneath that.
it looks pretty cool.
This
I like it.
particular one
Yeah.
looks like a knockoff of a Singer.
the
honestly.
Tuttle was, if we
Yeah.
did a list of 10, that would have been on my list.
The Tuttle.
Oh,
yeah.
the
Tuttle's
K,
crazy K,
the
yeah.
911K. That does look very cool. That one didn't occur to me, but that's a
That's
good
the
choice.
gold one. That's
Yeah.
carbon fiber with 1,000 horsepower or whatever.
No,
No,
it's
it's only-
carbon fiber. It's
just
like
light.
300 horsepower, but it's like 1,900 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I was supposed to drive that. I'm bad.
Let's see. So many words. All right, hang on. So many words from John.
He's got a big
Lives
I
in
like it.
Wisconsin. I've got a 2023 718 Spider and a Subaru Outback. I'll be moving to Chicago. I need to keep one car for the indoor parking spot I will have. Is the Spider too special to be wasted roaming the city streets, or
No.
should I trade it for something else? I mean, I love my Spider. I think it's almost the perfect car. I would just find somewhere else to keep it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Chicago. There's going to be somewhere else that you can keep
yeah,
that car.
Definitely not a good car to drive around Chicago with the weather and everything.
Well,
there,
but
you
remember,
should keep
when
it.
Chicago's nice, it's a great place to drive.
Yeah,
I know, but when it's wintertime.
Yeah,
yeah, you gotta
but
indoor-
but if you can afford that car, like it's not like, oh, you have one indoor parking space and that's your only option.
Right.
There's other options. You just have to
Right.
think a little harder to.
Yeah. So look, there's
And
other
the Subaru
Porsches.
Outback is a great everyday Chicago car. Keep
but,
that.
But for his second part there, like Vantage is great. Audi R8, it depends on the R8. Can be great. AMG GTS, absolutely fantastic. But I don't think you're going to be like, aha, I got rid of my Spider. Now I have a GTS and I'm much happier.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
you
all sports cars have the same issue in Chicago: winter and bad roads.
Yeah.
So like, you could put snow tires on the R8, that could be cool, but like, all those cars are fairly stiffly sprung,
Fairly low.
fairly low to the ground. They're all going to be affected. Like, if you've already got a Spider,
Yeah.
that's a great car.
It's a great car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say if it's got the R compounds on it, get rid of those. Get a PS4S,
Or
and
just
then you
wait
can drive
till springtime and you do whatever you want.
The solution is to find a reasonably priced place to keep that second car. Okay, Jake says, my lease is up on my 330X drive. I feel like it's too big. I've not enjoyed it. I'm cross-shopping an M240i or Golf R. The VW dealers won't let anyone drive the R, which seems absurd. What else should be on my list? Previously had an A3. Don't think I'd go for an S3. I liked the S3 a lot.
The new S3.
The
good.
new S3 I
new
thought was
S3
actually quite good.
Is so much better than the previous.
Yeah, the new S3 is very good.
M240i is great.
Yeah.
I think you'd be super happy with that.
Yeah.
Corolla or GR
Corolla would be a lot of
Is
fun.
actually more fun than all those put together.
And it seems like this person wants something all-wheel drive because of the winters.
GR Corolla, baby.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm saying that's why the M240 might not be great.
I see. Yeah,
Because they're in Westchester.
And if it's the new Golf R,
Is
like
the M240 not X-Drive? Don't they have an X? They have
You
an
can
all-wheel.
drive
They have an
M240?
all-wheel
Oh, he didn't
drive
list
version.
it, so I thought he was going rear wheel.
but the new Golf R, I would pass personally. I'm not a fan of it.
We didn't love it.
Yeah, it's not the 7th gen or 7.5. That was a
Great
great
car.
car. And then the Volkswagen,
It didn't.
the modern one,
It didn't work so good.
As somebody said, this is what happens when Piech dies. They build this car as a VW.
I'd so much rather have an S3 than a Golf
Oh, my
R.
God.
I mean, the price difference is worth it.
Dude, the new S3 is almost. I remember I was driving around with Misha Mansour, and we're like, "Why would you get an RS3?" Then we got the RS3. We're like, "Oh, duh!" But
Yeah.
but the S3 is Literally terrific. You can hang with about any sports car on a canyon road.
Yeah.
And 55,000, I think, is the price
loaded.
point.
That gets you a loaded one.
Yeah, and so that's actually, that's a really good car. That's a really, really good car. I'll just throw in also all-wheel drive Giulia would actually handle really well too, and you can get them super cheap because no one buys them.
That is
That's
true.
the same size. Actually, that's the same size as 330s. I forget that one.
Tough Ode says, why do no journalists seem to mention that the new EV and internal combustion shared platform BMWs are much larger on the outside compared to the inside? Wait, larger on the outside compared to previous generation while having the same space. You just drove the i7, right?
Shockingly fantastic car. The
So-
i7 M70.
Yeah, whatever the fuck it's called. Who can remember any of that
Well,
shit?
they make the M60 and the M70.
So do you think that it is a relevant fact that the i7 is much bigger than the S-Class while not having more room inside?
I think what he's saying is that the internal combustion 7 Series, which I haven't driven, is the same size as what the yeah, they're fucking huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's ridiculous. That car I mean, I said it. I said it's huge. It's like the hood's past your waist. It's a monster. It looks like that Rolls-Royce. It has that kind of presence.
Well, because the battery packs, right, they take up inches in the floor.
Yeah.
So you have to raise everything up, which is why we have a lot of electric crossovers. It hides that very well, right?
Yeah.
Like my Mach-E is basically a sedan on the inside that looks like a crossover on the outside.
Exactly
because
right.
there's an 8-inch skateboard it's sitting on that you don't see.
Yeah, and with longer cars, you can make the packs thinner. You know what I mean? It's just big. That car is so fucking good though. Like, true story. His name's Danny. You can ask him. Guy had an M2 comp, and I got to 9 Mile, and I let him go in front of me, and I was like, I'm going to chase an M2 comp on 9 Mile in the 6,000-pound electric BMW limousine that has the 34-inch TV in the back. Hung with him for 9 miles. Found him at Newcomb's. I'm like, how hard were you driving? He's like, 8.5, 9 out of 10. And I go, any harder you'd be in 2 lanes? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, it hangs with a well-driven M2 comp.
Yeah.
Like, it's a remarkable car. Is it big? Yes.
But I feel like there's like size creep in everything.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons. Yeah.
Well, also I just looked it up. The new 7 Series is 4 inches longer than the new S-Class.
Yeah.
So it's 4 inches, but that's 7 and S. Like those are the competitors, and they're big.
They're
They're all big.
Yeah, there's a size thing. Part of it, like this guy from Kia explained it so well, but part of it is as wheelbases get bigger, cars can legally be more inefficient, according to the EPA.
Cool.
Yeah. So, like, this is why Ford stopped. One of the reasons they stopped making cars is to have, like, a Fiesta thing. It had to be so efficient, it was impossible to make unless it was electric. So, if he explained the law, and if you listen to The Inevitable, the Kia long-term planner guy, but, like, it's just getting harder and harder to make small cars as efficiency standards creep up. You keep making the wheelbases bigger, you can get away with more bullshit.
Oh, this is a great loophole.
It's totally exploitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big. They're really big. I'm going to say though, i7 and the i5 are so good.
The
good to
i7
drive.
is very bad looking on the
insane.
outside. It's not good looking.
A little birdie told me that when the refresh happens in a year or two, you won't even tell it's related to the current car.
Really?
It's that drastic.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Because I would drive this thing. I'm like, I love it. I get out and look at it. I'm like it's lazy to say it's ugly. It's so
That is
bizarre.
lazy.
Yeah.
It's just like you know what I mean. It's like
Off-putting.
like a mental illness. It's like you want to study it. Like what? Why? What? It's smiling
have
at
you
me.
done here exactly? It's not.
But that's look up i7 M70 because it actually has like the undersmile from like the M3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oh boy, it's gone so badly.
It's grinning at you.
That photo is the most like Habibi Dubai fucking spec.
But then they do the XM, which is even crazier looking.
So I don't know what they're doing over there.
I think the XM is slightly better, but they're both bad.
Pull up the XM and look at the XM front. The hard front of the XM is the craziest.
It's really, really weird. Yeah.
Oh, right, with the red
Yeah,
thing.
the red lips.
It now, by the way, it's no longer called Label Red. It's now called XM Label. Like,
I don't know what they're
Tune
doing.
into XM Label,
Label.
for all your
like not
top
red.
20 music
it
needs.
still has the red. Yeah, look at that.
It's just crazy. They
It's
tried
crazy.
to give me one for a road and track event, and I was like, hard no. Okay.
Unlike the i7 M70, the XM Label doesn't drive all that well either. Because you're driving it and you're like, wouldn't an X6M drive just as well? Yes, it would, and like be half the price.
Yeah.
Because it's
Sarang Singh, is modern Porsche GT car steering ratio at the level of Ferrari yet? Meaning the
Rack
Ferrari, the rack speed is really, really high.
Just the super quickness.
I think Ferrari's still got a faster rack than the GT cars. Doesn't make it better? It just means it's faster.
I would say, I'd love to get them next to each other. Like GT3 RS is ideal until you drive a 296 and you're like, oh yeah, this is actually ideal. But it's double the money. Yeah, I don't know. And again, like quickness is one thing, but you want quickness coupled with other stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you like the F8 is kind of quick and sloppy and shitty for
296, very good. 296 Assetto Fiorano, nailed
I
it.
haven't driven that.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I drove the one that had like a leather roof, and it was still the best thing.
Yeah, they're great.
500 grand, but like whatever. Yeah, it makes sense.
The one that we had at Performance Car of the Year was like 590.
Yeah,
it was expensive.
Yeah, that's
Johnny, top 5 bourbons for under 50. All right, we can skip it.
yeah. Oh, I mean, look, it's
Five good bourbons for under 50 bucks.
I don't know, man.
Under 50.
Under 50
It's
is tough. I mean, and I'll be honest. When I was buying bourbon, like in my mind, Blanton's is still a $40 bottle.
Yeah,
That's what
it's
it
like
costs.
a $200 bottle now.
And it's like, yeah, $250. So I don't know. I will just go back to it. For $65, just buy one. You want to get the Old Forester 1920. It's like $65. You're not. It's just so good for what it is.
There's a really good George Dickel bottled in bond. It's
Yeah.
about $60.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah, I like Dickel, except everything tastes like Flintstones chewable kids vitamins. That's their yeast.
There's a bourbon I had you taste that you didn't love at my watch event, but
Yeah.
I really like it. Which
Yeah,
is
what was that called?
It's called Taconic Distillery. It's out of New York, which people say, oh, it's not bourbon. I don't
No,
think
it's bourbon.
That, yeah,
Bourbon can be made in 50 states.
It is the Taconic Distillery. It's about $58 a bottle. Very drinkable.
Yeah,
I like that.
The best ever is that I'm blanking on the name. JBW Brown, JWB Brown.
Oh, yeah.
like that's 17.
JTS Brown.
JTS, thank you.
Yeah,
Blanking.
it was cheap, and you brought us a bottle.
It was like
great.
$17.
Yeah. It was very good.
You can't find it, but that's the greatest. Okay, if you can find Old Bardstown, that's probably $20 a bottle. Phenomenal. That's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Bad Gardener says, in your conversation with Kristen Lee, echoed in a conversation with David Zipper, you talked about how speed limiting is not the answer to traffic collisions and fatalities. She even said that it was conservative agencies that come up with these recommendations. I find it interesting this seems to be in a direct parallel with gun control, in which case you guys, parentheses, progressives, and the agency, parentheses, conservative, have likely switched sides.
Oh, God.
Do you think this highlights that people just want what they want, or does this resonate as true at all, not a personal attack? I disagree with the premise here. I think that guns have one mission, and that's to kill things, to put bullets in things. They could be fun to shoot at paper and other targets, but like that's what a gun is for, is to like kill something. Whereas a car accident and a collision is a side effect of the car operating normally.
I just always say too, like, cars can be made safer. Like 92% of fatalities are involve unbelted occupants. So 92% of the time, if someone dies in America, different than the rest of the world, we have safe cars. Someone dies in a car crash, they don't have their seatbelt on.
Wow.
So.
I also think
like,
that I don't necessarily think that, like, for instance, like the way I think about gun control is kind of the same way I think about making our streets safer, which is like that they want to put electronic limiters, speed limiters in our cars.
Oh, fuck that shit.
As opposed, but they're not willing to do other things.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like we've talked about in the show, like you paint and concrete strategically applied go a long fucking way.
Yeah, or have people like look at your tire pressure once a year. I mean, like there's 100 things.
There's a lot
also,
of
wear your seatbelt. If you just wear seatbelts, like you're not gonna die. But also, I don't think like how do I put this? I hate laws where law-abiding normal folk. Okay, they want to. What the Wiener guy? He said 10 over. That was his thing, right? No car can go 10 over. If you're driving any freeway in LA, the speed limit is 65. Everybody's going 85, and they're going just fine when traffic moves. So everyone becomes a criminal, or it's a stupid idea. Like
there's a lot, we've talked about it on this show a bunch. There's a lot of holes in that particular theory.
Yeah, and going in a straight line with no oncoming traffic and no cross traffic, like you could actually safely go, as Germany has shown, you can go a lot faster than 10 over the speed limit. You can go really, really fast. So it's just stupid.
Yeah, I also don't think that it was a conservative agency that came up with the recommendation for speed limiters in cars. I don't think that's true.
It was one dickhead politician that came up with
I don't think that's actually true.
Yeah.
And I don't think what is the parallel with guns?
Nothing.
For a speed limiter in a car.
I think the parallel he's saying, because at the end he says, do people just want what they want? And there are people that they'll use Second Amendment or other things to say, like, this is why we should have the gun, but they just go, I want what it is.
Sure.
I want to have an AR-15 to go do target stuff or to have fun or have a fully auto thing. And we want to be able to have fast cars that we can drive fast and not be limited.
But back to my point, take us out of this. Every single human being, anecdotally in Los Angeles is going 85 on the freeway. So it's not just like they're not car enthusiasts. They're trying to get somewhere. And like, hey, when there's no traffic, everyone kind of naturally now goes 80 to 85. So like, people just want to get places.
It might be indicative that we need to adjust laws for the times. Like maybe some of our speed limits should go up because the cars are far safer than they were 50 years ago, and maybe gun laws should be adjusted because we don't need a standing militia and all this other stuff.
I mean,
and people, and the current systems aren't really working for both sides. Maybe.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, adjust both. I mean, we could like. People won't like this, but you don't need a speed limiter in the car if we had like automated speeding enforcement and speed limits adjusted to what was safe given our modern cars.
I don't like that, but yeah, I hear it.
But you don't have to limit the individual car,
right?
In order to do that.
It's limiting a car is such a stupid
I think
idea.
limiting the car is probably cheaper for the the government doesn't have to put out cameras and monitor them. They just go, hey, you guys have to put on an electronic limiter.
But I mean, like, I hope like the CHP comes out against this. They're like, that's our revenue, man. Like once like you've legalized pot, we can't bust people for that. Like we need speeders to like that's how we make money. I don't know. It's such a the Wiener guy just sucks so hard that it's unbelievable.
Of course, his name is Wiener.
Of course,
I disagree with. I don't think it's conservative agencies coming up with those recommendations, and I don't see a direct parallel with gun control.
Yeah. So, by the way, he's a super liberal politician, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shame on him. Thomas E. I'm not even going to try. Thomas E. Ever driven an E34 M5? If so, what are your thoughts?
I have.
They're nice.
They're great.
Yeah, they're nice.
All M5s are good.
Yeah, they're fun. The steering ratio is lazy compared to a modern car. You have to put in a lot of input.
And there was a jump in terms of lateral handling between E34 and E39 across the spectrum of BMW.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to account for that, yeah.
Yeah. Michael Cosgrove, what roof commission would you choose? Money, no object. A new CTR, CTR3, SCR, or have them do an older car?
God, that's a tough one.
I would have them do an older car.
I'm just gonna be lazy. And the one I've driven, that SCR, that new carbon fiber 500 horsepower, is so cool. And what's so cool about it, is that it's the original 911 size, but they made it wider, and then they hired Freeman Thomas to come in and like play with like door cuts and stuff like that, so that it doesn't look weird. But if you the door is super long.
It looks so good.
They did all this weird stuff, and it happened to be we were looking at one next to an original 911.
Yeah.
And like it's very different, but from this far away, it looks the same.
Yeah.
Plus, no screen, just analog gauges, even though they're digital analog. There's no screen. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
It's just
it's a lovely thing.
Yeah, I take that.
Very, very cool car.
Yeah.
Great. All right, let's do like two more, and then we'll call it.
Okay.
Ivan says, what engine has been wildly underrated these past years? wildly underrated engines.
You mean? Oh, I think he mean in the classic sense, where like
No, like underappreciated.
or does he
Under-
mean like
underreported.
Pontiac says it makes 400
Yeah.
horsepower? Wink, wink.
Oh, I don't know.
BMW twin turbos.
Which way do you want to take it?
We can go both, but I would say, as Jethro says, all McLarens make 800 horsepower.
yeah, for sure.
I've driven a couple of those.
The M2, the current generation M2,
So ugly.
it was heinous looking. But if you turn off all the systems, you will have wheel spin into fifth gear. It's probably its rating. It's like 452 or something is the rated power. It's probably that on a 100-degree day at the wheels on top of a mountain.
I just drove the M3 CS, which has like 10 more horsepower,
Yeah.
but I think it has 1,200 more horsepower. That car is so fucking ridiculous. Have you driven that yet?
No, we have the M3, 40th anniversary, 30th anniversary?
Yare.
30. Well, it'll be
Whatever
30th. Yeah.
anniversary
So
it is.
as for the
Coming
CS,
soon. They don't have it. I did.
okay, because I just
gone.
Oh well, they might be bringing it back, but I just drove one in Miami, or not Miami, Daytona, and like it's so stupid fast. It's just nuts.
I asked you know who
Yes.
for it, and he said we're getting new models in April, but they're like in the
Okay.
middle of the turnover.
It's it's like look, CS is the new M. I've never driven a CS. I didn't immediately say is like the best car in its segment. It's so good. Does that answer his
yeah,
question?
sure. Tom's last one. Tom says, why are modern mid-size pickups not bigger in the marketplace when they can tackle more of what the average truck buyer needs on a day-to-day basis for less money than a full-size truck can? Trigger warning
Yeah.
to truck people.
He also, I mean, I chopped your question down, Tom, because it's quite long. But he was driving around a brand new Frontier, and he was next to a 30-year-old Chevy, and he's like, "Oh shit, we're the same size." So modern mid-size trucks are now, the same size ability as a full-size thing from 30 years ago.
Because you walk into a dealer and they go, "Hey, you could buy this Ranger, or for $1 more a month, here's an F-150." And because I hate to break it to truck people, most people that buy trucks, it's a fucking lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
You're not hauling manure. I'm sorry, you're not. And if you do, it's like me. Like, yes, I use my pickup truck as a pickup truck. When I take cardboard to the recycling center, could I do it in an SUV? Probably. So I think dealers have a lot to do with it. And again, the whole thing, like, what do people need? It gets into such weird social engineering. It's like cars, in my opinion, should be fun. Get something you love, and bigger pickup trucks tend to be better. Like yes, the Maverick's amazing. Ranger's kind of a shitball.
The Ranger's not a great example because it's a very old product.
Yeah, it was a Mexican market thing.
The new one comes out this year.
Yeah,
right?
maybe it'll be great. But like, the new Colorado, I think, is great. But boy, it has gotten bigger. But there's no space inside that car for anything. It's there's nothing in the interior of the brand new Colorado. You could put your sunglasses and 2 cans of soda. That's it. There's no. It's crazy.
I just don't think we, as either car enthusiasts or Americans, pick what we actually need and then buy based on that.
Yeah.
No, we get what we want. Or
we
what's
get what we
interesting,
want,
yeah.
or we give a 110% use case. I might need to move a couch someday.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to buy a pickup truck at all, why wouldn't I buy a pickup truck that can do anything I might possibly need a pickup truck to do, even if I never do those
There
things?
was a study last year, which The Drive did a great article about it, but some company polled a bunch of truck owners, and they're like, how often do you off-road, tow, or haul? And the percentage was tiny.
Yeah.
It was like 12% of owners actually do these things once a year.
Yeah.
And the number of them that do it more than once a year was also really small. So like you said, people buy trucks going, well, one day I might need to get a camper, or if I ever get a camper, this one will tow that camper easier, which is all true. But you kind of buy the truck for the life you may have. And we do it with off-road shit. We do it with sports cars, everything.
In America, we're just also convinced that bigger is better. I mean, again, in the way they make so many F-150s, you can kind of get one for the price of a Ranger. Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, bigger is better. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
Good point,
But yeah, I mean, is there size creep? Yes. You know, it's funny, like, you know, the Rivian's a weird size because it actually is between a mid-size and a full-size truck. But, like, full-size trucks have gotten so big that, like, it's hard. I'm 5'11". Like, I can't always reach into the bed to get something. You know what I mean? Like, I have
the
to
height
climb
of that
in.
bed is really, really high.
Did I tell you I drove the Cybertruck and, like, the fucking rails? Like,
Yeah.
You have to climb into the bed. It is
Yeah.
so dumb. Like, it's just...
You don't want to know what I think about it. The more I see of
Have
them...
you driven it?
No.
Oh, it's
We gotta rent one.
It's you know, it drives okay. It's just that I'm baffled by the steering, and it's like 45 degrees is full lock.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, in the 2 or 3 day adjustment period, there's gonna be so many accidents from that.
We had an expert in this technology come
Yeah.
on the show and talk about it, Phil Koopman.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah.
I am deeply unconfident in steer-by-wire technology.
Oh, I don't. Here's the thing. Like, I get it if you're like, we have to put the steering wheel over here.
Yeah.
So we're going to do steer by wire. But, like, it's in the same spot it is for every single car. So it's just cheaper not to have a steering rack. That's all it is. And I walked up to it because my friend was going, I can't say who it was for various reasons, but he was like, it's the greatest thing I've ever driven. I love it. And he had the window down. I walked up to it and I grabbed the wheel and just turned it and the wheels didn't move. And I'm like, I don't know, man. That's like a simulator.
Yeah.
But it drove fine. It was fun. It's the weirdest thing, honestly, is that it's sealed. Like, I think it's like waterproof, or they're going to drive it on Mars or something. Like, it's positive pressure. It's not. It's like a sealed.
Well,
cabin.
when the proletariats rise up and attack you know, when the hoi polloi attack the fucking in crowd with the mustard gas,
Right.
You know, you got to survive, right?
I guess that's what it's for.
Yeah.
Look, I drove it briefly. It was almost exactly what I expected, save for the steering is different. It's it's like
one of a whole lot
weird.
of things that didn't need reinventing.
Like I said, if you're going to put the steering wheel in the back or something, like, sure, drive. You know, like, hey, you know, we made it so you know, for a work truck, you can sit in the back and you can steer. You know, you move the steering wheel, but it's just in the one spot where you could have had a.
Yep.
So it doesn't make any sense.
Anyway,
So, yeah.
thank you to everyone for tuning in today. Thanks for your time,
Yeah.
Johnny. I know it was torture driving that pink Rolls-Royce over here and getting a free charge up on the level 2.
Yeah. Oh, I owe you 18 cents.
Yeah.
Which I'll get to you at some point.
We got cheap juice here. Of course, Johnny's over at Motor Trend, the Inevitable podcast, and other
Car Radio,
other things.
but really
and
just
Spikes.
Instagram that's where you
It's
want to find me.
really just Johnny Lieberman
Johnny Lieberman.
controlling the media from his Instagram.
Not really. My Instagram's not doing so hot. I do a lot of posting and nobody follows me. But
Mad stagnant, dude. We're mad stagnant
it's
too.
so weird.
I've gained maybe 2,000 subscribers in 2 years, followers on Instagram, like 2 years.
I've gained like 900.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I was at 99,000. I was doing great, and then I made like a political post and just like tanked it on the logarithm. Didn't tank it. I lost like a couple hundred followers, but I just noticed, you know, it just stopped.
That'll happen.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Oh, I drove that.
Those are great.
That's
R34s are
the
great.
M-Spec Nerve.
Yes.
Which is worth, you know what that's worth?
It's
100,
probably
several hundred?
No, it's probably 250 to 300, maybe more.
Yeah, the
they're
one
big money.
sold, a BAT one sold for $341.
Yeah, they're big money.
And this one was in perfect shape.
We are having Ryan Zumalin on the podcast on next Tuesday. Is that next week?
I think it's actually
Is
Wednesday.
it? Is it this Wednesday?
I think it's tomorrow's.
Tomorrow's Tuesday.
Oh, I don't know what date it is.
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah,
It's this
his
Wednesday.
book, I just finished his book, Cult of GTR, which is a great book. Everyone should read it. It's a really in-depth story about the history of the GTR. So we're going to talk about all Skylines on Wednesday with Ryan. Also, it turns out, like, not to toot my own horn, but I know every single person significant in the Skyline community.
Oh, really?
Every page I turn is like, oh yeah, there's my friend. Oh, there's my friend. There's my friend. There's my friend.
I have such a blind spot with these things. And
Yeah, if you read the book, you'll recognize every name. Yeah.
I just haven't driven a ton. Like, this is the first R34 I ever drove.
Oh, isn't it delightful?
This one was good. I've driven an R32 and R33, and I was sort of like, these are old, slow Japanese cars. Why is everyone freaking out? But this one
The
First of all,
34 is the
boost
first
controller.
one that you could drive that without being tuned that is
Yeah.
like pretty good.
Yeah,
The other ones you got to do some stuff to.
And it came with a boost controller.
Yeah.
So he turned it from like 0.8 to 1.2. And
Yeah.
it's like, I don't think it went that much faster, but it made some cool noises.
The R34 has different turbos, which
Yeah.
make a big difference.
Okay.
They have the ball bearing turbos. They're
Yeah.
like better.
I liked it, and it felt like I was sitting in a 20-year-old Subaru. It was like, this is a Japanese car from 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
But it was cool.
But RBs are smooth and buttery and delightful.
I love it.
So we're going to be doing all Skylines.
I want an R35. I still love those.
Now's the time,
they're
probably.
still good.
Yeah, now's the time. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.